This is All India Radio. In our national program of talks tonight, we now bring you a panel discussion entitled IFFI-2021, an overview. The panelists are Jahar Kanungo, well-known filmmaker and writer, Suparna Sharma, senior journalist and film critic, Vijay Jodha, acclaimed photographer and documentary filmmaker, and Arnav Bannerjee, well-known film critic who initiates and moderates the discussion.
It's that time of the year when the annual event International Film Festival of India in Goa is just about to start. And as film buffs and film enthusiasts, we are all very excited. It's a common platform for filmmakers from across the globe to showcase their talent and put forth the excellence of cinema from all over. Let me come straight to Ms. Suparna Sharma. Suparna, you've attended many international film festivals, but the scenario has changed over the years. Not just because of digital age, but also because of the pandemic. How relevant do you think such huge festivals are? And B, what is it that you would want to add or delete from such grand events?
Thanks, Arnav. I think these film festivals, especially IFFI in Goa, is extremely relevant. One reason for that would be we don't have such big grand film festivals in India otherwise, apart from the one in Kerala, I would think, and an independent festival in Dharamshala. This would be India's biggest film festival. Independent cinema still doesn't have a space, and film festivals are the only spaces where short films, for example, documentary films, independent films, which touch on controversial topics. Film festivals are the only spaces where people can access these films in a very pure form. I think the format of film festivals is very cinema driven. It's not about commerce, it's not about anything else, it's just about cinema. So I think they're very exceptionally relevant. I just wish India had many more film festivals. I would add lots more films. I would add lots more access to people. Instead of just having this 8-day, 9-day film festival just once a year, I think have more chapters of IFFI. Not just one in Goa. I mean, Delhi, the capital, has no film festival worth talking about.
Vijay, what has been your experience? You've also attended many festivals. And what is it that you are looking forward to this time?
I think all said and done, IFFI is the biggest, oldest cinema event we have in the country. Now, obviously, as Suparna rightly pointed out, so many new avenues are available, and maybe the charm of festival is a lot less. But it does happen that, that whole prestige which is around it, it was also the first place to get exposed to a lot of films and filmmakers. And I think that still continues because, you have the retrospectives each time. So a lot of filmmakers, which we may not know, younger set may not know. So this is a way to get into that. So I'm very excited about that, the fact that it's happening, first of all. Second, as you know, they made it a hybrid event. So a lot of things which are not necessarily available earlier on, if you're not in Goa physically, are now going to be discussions, master classes, all kinds of things. Obviously, there are copyright issues with newer films, but I think the older materials, older films will also be available. So it's a great way to take it and broaden it beyond a physical setting. A little bit of grievance, you can say, is that there should be more space for non-fiction, No doubt you have some very good non-fiction films across the country. Delhi itself, you have the Vathavan and PSBT Open Frames, etc., etc. But, to have both of them side by side is very, very important because that is as much of a legitimate and interesting and relevant cinema as the other one. And you have a lot of filmmakers, for example, this year, Martin Scorsese, who's being given Lifetime Award, is done so much of wonderful work in non-fiction space. And same with Ray, who they have changed the name and who's being honored again in his centenary year.
Jahar, do you think international film festivals are important contributors to the cultural, economic and social development of territories where they are established? They are also an essential link in the film industry chain as they offer international outreach for films, distribution deals, opportunities, etc.
I think that Vijay and Suparna, they have said everything, but what I would like to add one thing, that essentially today the film festival, I look at it as a market for the independent filmmakers particularly, because the independent filmmakers already halls are got, limited now. Screens have been, limited.
Right.
So where do they show it? Now the interesting thing has come, because the OTT platform, there are two things. When I attended the festivals, first few festivals, just go because I'm so happy, but when it came to Busan and all those things, then I realized that I have to see, because I cannot attend all the festivals because I was working. I used to see that who are the people coming? Is it a big market? Can I interact with the people? Can I have before? So this is the most important thing nowadays. A lot of young people from the Kerala, Bengal, and they come in a group. It's just like Cannes or the Busan, there is a sea and all that is also added attraction. So Goa has that attraction. And they come and they already they are in the festive mood. That is important. Festival is important. I think it's the mood, it's atmosphere and interaction. That is the most important thing for me.
Okay. So marketability, you say, is important.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. That is which is the reason Cannes is why it is the biggest and so important. Now the Busan is because the market.
Suparna, do you see, when we talk about great cinema, does it really reach out to the common man? Of course, film buffs and film enthusiasts, they do get to see the films anyway. But what about the entire length and breadth of the country? Are festivals catering to their interests as well?
I don't see a lot of people rushing in, but I think if they can carry this hybrid model to even beyond Corona, beyond COVID, so that at least online people can access films in future, even if it's expensive to travel for anybody, right? A young person to travel to Goa, to look for a place to stay at a time like that when, rents would be, room rents would be huge. I think access to great Indian films and also going beyond Satyajit Ray a little bit would be great. And market, I don't know. I mean, if you don't have the films, the best films, if you're not showcasing the best films, you have to showcase your best films.
So Vijay, access, she said, access to all the best films that one has seen in the recent past. Do you think this year we are going to see a lot of good films that released last year or this year in other parts of the world? I'm talking about international and, of course, Indian panorama as well.
IFFI has a advantage and disadvantage. Disadvantage it has is this, that it is a festival which is taking place towards end of the year. So all the great filmmakers or the very anticipated high profile projects, they prefer going to a festival happening early because they have to tie up with distributors. It's a commercial thing underlying all the entire exercise. So they plan in a certain way. A. B. IFFI is not the big four festival. It has never been that way, So that does not work in its favor, but that is all right, because the idea of IFFI is primarily to expose Indian audiences, Indian filmmakers to the best of the world, and to encourage cinema culture and to encourage good filmmaking. If we manage to do all of that, then our films will travel all over the world and the best filmmakers would want to come here. So our IFFI's mandate is slightly different compared to some of the other big ticket festivals we have. So it's unfair to, look at it in the same parameter. A. B. If you look at it, every year they have some of our best filmmakers as part of the jury, the people who select the films. So it is not the organization, if it's reflecting, if they've left out, as I feel this way, that IFFI's biggest role has been that it has created model for a lot of other films, festivals all over the country. They may be smaller, they may not be getting some big ticket filmmaker to come down, but this whole long distance, hybrid, whatever you want to call that, that is a very good avenue. So it is possible for a smaller festival somewhere in some small town to have a Zoom meeting or whatever interaction with some big ticket filmmaker whom they can't fly down the way if he can. That is a good thing which can come out of this,
right,
as a model. A. B, I think, as Suparna rightly pointed out, I think they need to figure out how they can reach out to all these new avenues. Why not tie up with all the OTT platforms, so that you are doing films, you are putting a film in the festival and that film is available on television for everyone to watch a week from, the way
so you reach out to a
yes.
more
So, the interaction with the
yeah.
industry has to be upgraded to what's happening out there. I just feel that the fact that, as you know, they have renamed the Lifetime Achievement Award in honor of Satyajit Ray. They're also showing some of his best well-known films. I just wish they had included one or two documentaries, at least one documentary of his, because he did he did 5, 6 of them. There are 2, 3 at least are really very, very path-breaking.
Other than that, your views on the choice of films, Suparna?
I mean, I've just watched trailers of some. The opening film, I don't know if any of you have seen the trailer. It's beautiful. It's exciting. And one thing about IFFI, I mean, we can sit and discuss misses and hits and misses. But there is a spirit to IFFI once you go there physically when you attend it, which is quite rare. Very few, even international film festivals have that, because it's in one kind of, physically one place where all the
film buffs gather.
Right. And shots also they show there, and there are all these auditoriums where films are playing simultaneously, and outside is this very kind of lively with ladies selling food and people discussing. So it's beautiful. It's like 8 days of absolutely soaking in the best of cinema. I just wish that, like, say, for example, Cannes, which really showcases French cinema in a very, very big way. If we could do that with Indian independent young filmmakers, wherein you follow their projects, through the year, and say that, okay, we are going to do your world premiere. At IFFI, make that like the go-to place for at least the year's best or the top crop of your best filmmakers. And we have so many. I mean, French has just French films, right? We have Gujarati, we have Malayalam, we have Telugu, we have so many. So use that. That's our strength. We should use that.
Okay, so are premieres that important anymore? I mean, it used to happen in the past a lot. Jahar, what is your view?
I think that it is a festive atmosphere. That is the main thing. But I will definitely go, again, this festival, Goa, NFDC had a huge role to play, like this film bazaar. That is the main thing, let's understand, because we will get to see the film, even, of course, one thing that's seeing it in a big screen and in that atmosphere, as Suparna said. That is one. And Goa being Goa. But why not? I'm saying that we have about, say, 30, 40 players, OTT players in India. Like in Cannes and all, what happens, even the Busan also, I believe nowadays, I can go there. They will say that, okay, we'll organize for you. We'll organize a little auditorium for you. You show it, and these are the people who will be coming, and all the deal. That is a matter of the details. It is not only the Indian filmmakers, independent filmmakers, that they are looking for the market. So I would say that since they are going to continue with Goa, why not have more screens, small screens, where the other players can come, take advantage, okay, because so why not, take this advantage of this, IFFI, and it could be shown to its possible buyers. I think that will be the great thing, because Goa doesn't have so many screens. And another, I thought the little disadvantage, in the City Fort, you have, and all these few films, 3 halls are there in City Fort, and all the discussions and all the seminars there. So it is under the really one platform under one roof. But in Goa, of course, that is there is, apart from the multiplex, there is Entertainment Society. They have got a hall, and maybe 500 meters walk. They have the hall. But of course, if it comes to Delhi, I think that is the best possible situation. I just thought, to networking, talking to people, connecting.
Okay, that is probably a logistics that you're talking about. But this year is also very interesting because IFFI will be honoring Mr. Istvan Szabo and Mr. Martin Scorsese for their outstanding contribution to world cinema. Apart from that, to commemorate 100 years of the veteran filmmaker, the late Satyajit Ray, IFFI's Lifetime Achievement Award will henceforth be called the Satyajit Ray Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, I would like to ask Suparna and all three of you, in fact, the sense of respect and admiration for Ray, the man who was responsible for taking Indian cinema to the global audience, is huge. But despite the niche that Ray had managed to carve for himself among the international audience and the spell that he had cast on the regional filmmakers who followed him later, the irony is that he could not possibly exert a pan-Indian audience for his reluctance to make more Hindi films. Now, we have a selection of 5 films here which have been shown many times at various festivals. And how relevant is Ray in this day and age? Of course, film buffs and film enthusiasts will always admire the greatness that Ray had, but to the common man, to the large section of Indian society which is always eager to watch any Hindi film, how relevant are they? I mean, are we reaching out to them as well by doing a retrospective? Vijay?
Yeah, my sense is this, that because he's been such a huge, not just in India, elsewhere, and I've done lectures. I studied filmmaking at NYU, where Martin Scorsese also went 30 years prior to me. So, but all the great film institutions you have, be it FTIA or be it St. Martin, so anyone anywhere in the world, his movies are among the required viewing. So he's very huge. That is one, like a milestone or whatever you can call, which you have to go past before you think of doing your films. He's one of those, there's no two views about that part. I feel that the very fact that he's so huge among all the film industry people, as in the people who see themselves as cine artists or cineasts or whatever you want to call, I don't think there's anybody who's unfamiliar with his work.
But are you happy with the films being shown this time?
I would have preferred that they had shown maybe some of his very, because he did so many brilliant films, maybe the lesser known works, for example, be at least one documentary they could have included. He had done some amazing documentaries. He did very few, 5-6 of them only, but they're very, very path-breaking, some of them. If you see the one he did on Tagore, for example, the whole idea of using enactments, which was something which nobody was doing. They thought that is a fiction device. We shouldn't be doing that. So, which has become very common now. It's become almost a norm in non-fiction cinema these days, including television programming. He was one of the first people to do something like that. So it's very valuable to see that this man was not only brilliant for the stuff we know him for, the Appu trilogy and all the other stuff, but also in the non-fiction space he did some very brilliant stuff. So that would be a good reason to highlight that. A. B, I also feel that, if we could get all the other things he did, people don't know about that at all, all the storyboards and so many other things, music compositions. That is something which nobody can match him even now. So that would be very inspiring, that the whole idea of being a total filmmaker, most people don't even think of that. They just want to be a director or, one role only. That would be much more interesting to highlight, I thought. So this was an opportunity to do that for IFFI.
Okay, so Suparna, how do you think Ray can be made more relevant for Indian audiences now?
Right, I wouldn't use the word relevance at all. I think Ray
He'll always be relevant.
Right. I think always, not even relevant. He's like, the holy grail in a sense of, he's also India's calling card in great cinema. There has to be more engagement with people who know Ray's films, like Vijay, for example, right? Documentary is one way to showcase his work. The other is, why not frame it from a gender perspective? Show his super powerful films on women, where women are, the focus of his films. Or soundtrack. I don't think there is anybody who has that range of soundtrack that, Satyajit Ray had, collaborating with the best across the world.
Okay. Jahar, your views on this? Are you happy with the selection?
Selection, I would say that any film, but most important thing, any film of his, I'm quite happy, at least as long as they are showing films. Idea is, will they be able to trigger, the interest in the viewer's mind? That is the most important, because Satyajit Ray, why he's so important, why perhaps he's the first independent filmmaker who has made his, trends, against this, all the norms and all, how it is with the non-actors he acted with, every cameraman, director, sound, on everything, art director, books, everyone is new. How his journey, particularly this Pather Pachali, it took him a lot of time. He started watching films, I mean, how he, from when he was in 19 years, 18 years old, he was in presidency. Then he went to Vishwavarati. For 1 year or two, he came back because Calcutta, where the action is. He watched the films because that was the time. And he said that I have learned everything what I had to learn in the filmmaking from Hollywood films. He mentioned all the names and all. He wrote letters. Someone replied, someone didn't reply. He wrote a 12 pages letter to Billy Wilder. That is the Double Indemnity. I think it is his favorite film. He didn't get a reply. And ultimately, it was in his mind that how he went ahead. When the Renault came, he was there just to, understand. And that is the best thing happened in his life is the Renault, because he got to meet Subrata Mitra, who was also there. And Subrata Mitra was 19 years old. He didn't handle the camera. And another guest thing happened when he went on his work. He went to England. He saw the bicycle thief. Why I consider that is very important for him. I'm talking from an independent filmmaker's point of view. When he saw Bicycle Thief, he realized that, okay, this person, this great person, he did the film on location, not on studio, with amateur artists. In the voyage, I think he started writing. And another interesting thing I found, how much money he had. Those say that 70,000. 70,000 is a lot of money, actually, because I understand, I talked to students to Subrata Mitra, he used a very good camera. And there's something interesting, his sketch. When he did the sketch, that means he is very sure that what the shot is going to be. And he made the people rehearse, actors rehearse after rehearse, rehearsal after rehearsal after rehearsal, so that he doesn't waste raw stock. So all this planning, how he did, I hope that people get interested in that so that they will understand how to approach making a film.
In fact, he was pioneer in creating storyboards. People are not doing that in India at all. So as you rightly pointed out, he was the first person. He didn't know they're called storyboards. He just did them when he was coming back, because he was coming back on ship. He had time, and so he visualized how he wanted his shots. So he was a pioneer in storyboards, which have become a norm now for every film.
Because he learned painting and sketching.
Yes, so to deploy it in a cinematic context was again something path-breaking.
Another interesting thing, Pather Panchali, if you read the novel, there is something, it is a description, there is a complexity of the village and all. What he decided, he is taking only the Apu, Durga, their life, their children. So it is very interesting when he said that I have learned everything from the Hollywood. I was just thinking that maybe that he learned the storytelling which had to appeal to everyone. Because he mentioned somewhere, there is Professor Shamik Bandhavadar was telling me, that he wrote a letter to Chidananda Das Gupta, most probably that is. He said there is Ritik and all the great directors he named. He said, as far as I'm concerned, I had got one thing in mind. The producer has to get the money back. I'm relating to, what he learned about the Hollywood film story. It has to be liked by many people. So these are something very interesting thing.
Right. No wonder Akira Kurosawa once said, not to have seen the cinema of Ray means existing in the world without seeing the sun or the moon. Yeah. Or Martin Scorsese when he said, we all need to see the films of Satyajit Ray and re-see them again and again. Taken all together, they are one of our greatest treasures. Of course, there are films and there are films, but which one are you all interested in watching or looking forward to this year?
As far as Satyajit Ray's film?
Any film at the festival. Ray's films you all have seen, of course.
No, I want to see again, and I don't know whether they have included, that is a Shima Bandhu, that is a limited. I thought that is one film which I really liked. It's relevant. Even today you find it very smart film. Mm-hmm.
I hope that the opening film, The King of All the World, is available online, because I'm going to register and watch them. And I think everybody should register. Whoever is listening, register, watch. Satyajit Ray, watching it on that big screen, I mean, it would be an absolute delight. Else. But, I think if you kind of just take a step back and what, Vijay and Jodha are both saying, like how to curate your best filmmaker, his journey, for example. I mean, it's already sounding so fascinating what Jodha is saying, and Why not curate it like that? Why not tell Satyajit Ray's story through his films? How he discovered, who he discovered,
Absolutely.
how he went from. I mean, tell that story, make it fascinating. And to go back to Arnav, your word which you said relevant, that would make him relevant.
And why he decided
Right.
on Pathet Panchali.
Yeah. Exactly, right. I mean, he adapted most written works.
I just want half a minute. And Satyajit Ray, another important thing, his film club, where they watch films and almost every second day or third day Satyajit Ray will write a script. Not that script will see the light of the day. That is an exercise.
I just want to say one
Yeah,
thing
please.
again. 1 minute to Vijay. Vijay was saying that storyboard, nobody's doing right now. That's because I think they can't. They
No,
don't have the
now, in
talent
fact,
to do. His storyboard is like a piece of art almost.
Yes.
Right? You can just frame those things and
Yeah,
just.
but
In fact, they are stored in that Museum of Cinema they have in Paris. They have those storyboards are all
it's there.
archived there and all of that. What has happened now is that Suparna, now you have all the technology to make storyboard
Yes.
digitally.
That's true.
So you don't have to struggle anymore. But what
Yes,
I'm saying is
you
what
can
has
make.
become a common norm today. Okay, just as I said that using these fiction devices in non-fiction film has become a common norm today. It's almost part of the grammar, you can say. Same way, storyboarding and a lot of these things, breaking down the shots and all.
But Vijay,
he was a pioneer
No,
in
in
that
fact,
way,
a
and
lot
that
of
needs to be
actors have said
recognized.
that just by looking at the storyboard, they learnt a lot about acting. They would follow the
Everything, his
storyboard.
writing, how he adapted Tagore's stories to from written word to cinema. I mean, how do you translate it?
But-
Everything. I mean, every aspect is
Yeah.
he's like an FA course in himself, a film appreciation course in himself.
So actually, there's a lot that one can just talk about Mr. Ray, and we can go on and on talking about him. But yes, this year, the IFFI 2021 is going to be a lot more interesting than it has been in the past. Not just because of Mr. Ray's films, but also because this is still the time of the pandemic, and it is going to be in hybrid mode. And let's hope that people from all over the world get to see as many films as possible. Thank you very much for your time and all your views.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Arnav.
Arnav.
Pleasure.
In our national program of talks, you just heard a panel discussion entitled IFFI 2021, an overview. The panelists were Jahar Kanungo, well-known filmmaker and writer, Suparna Sharma, senior journalist and film critic, Vijay Jodha, acclaimed photographer and documentary filmmaker, and Arnav Bannerjee, well-known film critic who moderated the discussion. Produced by Naveen Gupta, this program came to you from the Delhi station of All India Radio.